David Morgan with you with an interview of Bonterra Resources. Peter Ball, you recently became VP. What's that all about?
Yeah, nice to catch up again, David. In the first quarter of 2018, I became Vice President of Operations. It's going to be Bonterra's biggest year. But I'm going to flash back a couple of years. 2015, I was a consultant. We were looking at an interesting gold project, 9.37 grams per ton gold, which when you look and compare the grade to projects globally, 90% of the projects operating today are less than 8 grams. So we've got a really interesting grade. We had 273,000 ounces at surface with a measured strike distance of about 200 meters to a depth of only 250. 15,600 meters of drilling. So we're sitting in Quebec. We're in the Abitibi Gold Belt, which I was born in Kirkland Lake, so it's kind of my home area. Quebec, first of all, is ranked in the top 5 globally by the Fraser Institute for places to do business in mining, exploration, development, production. They actually give you 38% back for every dollar you stick in the ground. So we're in the right location. So this is September 2015. We had $98,000 in the bank. Capital markets are starting to look a little stronger. We actually had $600,000 of payables because it was a bit tough at the beginning for this particular company. But we had the right management, the right mix of retail shareholders, which are extremely key to getting involved at the early stage. We had a market capitalization of $5 million. So we're tight. We've got the right project. We've got the management and directors in place. We've got the right jurisdiction, geopolitically safe, Quebec, infrastructure access, and we're a new part of Quebec. This is the Urban Barrie Camp in the northeastern part of the Abitibi. When I was born in 1967 in Kirkland Lake, the area's been operating for over 50 years. 100 million ounces already been produced, found, discovered, explored. And 50, nearly 1 years later, another 170 or 80 million ounces. So 170 million ounces have been discovered. But there's this new area of the camp called the Urban Barrie Camp. Cisco's up there starting to look at the Windfall project, making a lot of traction. So we started doing, looking at what can we do. We looked at the model. We started raising capital. So we flash forward to a week ago, May 2018. We started with 98 grand in the bank. We raised 75 million. We've put most of the money in the ground. We've built an 80-man camp. We've currently have about 33 in the bank. We have another 10 or 11 million dollars of option and warrants in the money. We've built a strong technical team out of Quebec. And I've known this team for probably 20 years. Dale Ginn, we used to work together at Hudbay Minerals in Flin Flon. I'm kind of a mining kid. I grew up in all these small mining towns, so La Ronge, Flin Flon, Kirkland Lake, Stewart, BC, the Yukon, England, family started from Africa. So here I am in back of my hometown. Dale Ginn, great geologist from Flin Flon days in 1990. He took a lot of projects forward back in that day. So Mr. Nab Dhaliwal, our chief executive officer, found the opportunity. So the 75 million was raised just really over the last 14 months. So some of the larger corporates and institutions have been looking at Bonterra, and they've done their due diligence, they've done their homework, and they're looking at this asset. This asset's got sizable, it's got potential. So Eric Sprott from Toronto, which I think you know very well. Kirkland Lake Gold, one of the fastest growing, aggressive, every day that company's making great moves. Century, John Case out of Toronto. Joe Foster out of New York with Van Eck. Rick Rule and the Sprott Global guys, group out of California. Ruffer and M&G. So a lot of these key groups now control 50 to 60% of the company. They've invested just over the last year. So we've got strong institutional corporate shareholders, kind of like one of the additional final check marks to a company. So now we've got corporate institutional ownership, the right jurisdiction, and now we're going to tackle our model. So we'll flash back again, a little history. December 2015, we started our drill program. 120,000 meters later, basically nearly hitting on every single hole, developing a very predictable model, open along strike, open northeast, southwest, to the north and south. And when I started this, talking about Bonterra a couple of minutes ago, we had 200 meters in strike and 250 at depth. Now we're 1.2 kilometers along strike and 1.1 kilometers at depth. So we've got size. So this is one of the key de-risking mechanisms that we've wanted to do. And hence the reason I've got an engineering background and I've worked for a number of companies. This is the year we want to first check mark drilling. Build a model, expand the mineralized zones. We keep expanding. We had 4. 3 months ago we had 5. A couple weeks ago now we have 6. Open in every direction. So that's one check mark. Another check mark that we're trying to do this year, which we've just recently accomplished on time, was metallurgy. So any rock in the ground is uneconomic. They're all uneconomic unless you can receive positive metallurgical recoveries. So we just completed them in April. So 99.4%, which is probably the highest recovery I've seen in any of these typical Abitibi greenstone belts, vein-hosted mineralized systems with a crush or gravity cyanide circuit. Well, then we said, okay, if we remove cyanide, then what's it with gravity plus flotation? So gravity plus flotation was 97.3. So again, if you drill in a little deeper, you've got the gravity circuit only, up to 76.1% on the gravity side. Well, usually when you look at the gravity, how much do you have to crush the rock? You can do coarse to fine, and it's measured in some micron level. So from 169 micron down to 83, so coarse, less coarse, and fine. On average, at all grinding sizes, greater than 70% recovery was received through the studies in the gravity circuit. So that means in the future, less operating costs, less capital costs, and even potentially removing cyanide, because we get 97.3 on just a flotation. We might not even need cyanide. So that's great on the environmental footprint of the company. So now we've got the drilling. I mentioned we got the shareholders. We've done the metallurgy. So everybody that's come into this company as an investor, including the institutions and corporates and retail, and the management, is because of the de-risking final one, the resource update for the second half of 2018. We gave this guidance about a year and a half ago. We're on schedule. We're on budget. The market's going to look at this resource and look at it and say, how many ounces do you have? And they're going to get a valuation, which I call a re-rate. They're going to look at the enterprise value, which is your cash minus your market cap minus your cash, throw in your debt. We don't have any debt. We have a market cap of about 120 million. Take out 30 million in cash. Our enterprise value is 80 million. So people are going to start doing the metrics, start ranking us against our peers. We've beaten our peers on metallurgy. We've got the biggest and most aggressive drill program to date. We've beaten our peers on grade by 9.37 grams. The head grade through the metallurgical recoveries came in and matched the recoveries underground through the drill hole. It's all lining up, and it's going to be a big year and for Bonterra.
What's the share price now? What's it been through the year?
So it's interesting. We've been watching the market closely and looking at our peers. Currently, we're trading at 50 cents, just above and also in line with some of the big corporates and institutions that recently got involved with their company. We've also been watching some of our peers of what's happening with them. The market's been a little unstable in early 2018. A lot of our peers have dropped off. We've been maintaining our share price. We view it at Bonterra, we're a public company. So we got to get out there to message our company, communicate, tell the story, get the vision in place inside of the retail market, which adds to liquidity, which adds to the institutional and corporate ownership. It's been holding quite well in regards to how we compare ourselves to our peers.
What's your share structure? How many shares out?
So our share structures, we have about 225 million shares out. Again, about 60% controlled by corporates and institutions and management. We got a solid float to allow liquidity, and we have some options and warrants that are about, at total fully diluted, probably 248, I believe. The good thing is, with the cash in the bank, we're fully financed to get through the rest of the drill program, 70,000 meters this year, get through the resource update, and start putting on, start doing some of our own due diligence on the engineering. So we're not going to be going back to market for a long time.
Okay, so 33 million in the treasury. That'll take you through the rest of the drill program.
Yep.
We know the management, we know the location, we know the grade, we know the prospects, we see the upside. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you'd like our viewers to know?
Yeah, I'll just quickly touch on we have a project, actually my hometown, Larder Lake, Kirkland Lake area. 2 years ago, we acquired another project called the Larder Lake Project. It has a global resource of about 1 million ounces at about just over 5 grams. It used to be owned by 3 different companies. We're currently remodeling it, putting together a new picture, because we believe all 3 mines are actually one continuous mineralized system. Building a model, trying to figure out how we can add value to the Bonterra story through building a new model. There's thousands of meters of drilling that was done by the previous owner that was never even put in. And one last thing, we acquired and built up our land position by over 400% over the last 2 years. We have a look-alike Gladiator to the northeast called St. Cyr. Can't talk much about it, but looks interesting. We're going to start drilling that right along strike, about 2 kilometers. As you head to the southwest, lots of really interesting drill intercepts with gold in it. We're trying to understand, it's called the Coliseum property. We're surrounded by a Cisco. It's a building exploration camp with a Cisco with what they're doing. They drilled 600 and some thousand meters. We've only done 120,000. It's going to be really interesting to what our model will yield in this resource in the second half of 2018.
Well, every success.
Thank you very much.
Peter.
Absolute pleasure talking again. Thank you.